it's Dermot Kennedy, and I'm so excited to be teaming up with Truly to play a live. Hey, it's Dermot Kennedy, and I'm so excited to be teaming up with Truly to play a live stream concert exclusively on Live Nation's Twitch channel. It's going to be so much fun. You don't want to miss it. I'll see you there.
I realized that I have been on mute this whole time, and that is hilarious. So, great. Whoopsie-daisy. Anyway, that's really awesome. So, anyway, where were we? So, I'm going to talk a little bit about this particular forest town here. What's up, Jay? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. How are things? Hope things are well. Oh God, I'm just resetting everything because I realized that I was on mute, talking into the void. But anywho, so as we were saying, talking a little bit about Olibar's dream. So that was a 3-shot that actually took place into a bit. There's a little bit of Zelda, Kokiri Forest, Lost Woods in that sort of spot. So there was that. And then on top of that, there was a little bit of sort of what Olibar's thought or kind of dreamed his backstory would be, which was really interesting to do because it was one of those situations where like I knew, well, I mean, really only Bill really knew like what the truth was. So I kind of was able to drop into his mindset and see and kind of figure it out, like what would he think it would be, you know? But alas, what can one do? So yeah, so we start with this small forest town here, Draconic for Treehouse, and which there's a pretty cool Draconic translator that you can actually check out. And so and I kind of mentioned that there's a bit of a community, right, of a bunch of different houses. So something that is not here actually is it mentions the beautiful greenery and baked in sunlight, but it doesn't really mention the people. And I talked a little bit about the Lost Woods earlier. I sort of renamed it the Forbidden Forest here, as you can see. But one of the things that's cool and that I talked to the players about was that there are no humans in this world. Now, why or why not? I just thought it would be something different. Let's try to steer away from the usual human, dwarf, you know, what have you. You know, so we ended up with, I think the elephant folks are Luxodon, if my memory is correct. I'll turn this down just a tad bit because I can barely hear myself think. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. And so, there we go. So, one of the things that I sort of mentioned was no humans. Now, where that came from was I was growing up. I was a big Redwall fan. Actually in 8th grade, I remember so vividly. I was in physical science class with Mr. Roth. What's up, Mr. Roth? And I'd finished a test really early, and he always had this like small library of like these 4 or 5 different itty bitty shelves right near his desk, and I just kind of saw one. And sometimes you just, especially as a kid, you just sort of gravitate to a particular book, right? And for that was actually that was this guy, Martin the Warrior. That's the UK edition. This was the cover I saw, and I was just like, that mouse has a sword. That's fucking cool. So, and it had this, like, I remember correctly, this kind of brown or reddish gold sort of lettering, I should say. And so I remember thinking, oh man, like that's really cool. So I started reading it and like was like hooked like almost immediately by the fact that, like, you know, there are mice or just rodents you personified as in a humanistic, I guess you could say, perspective. But Brian Jakes, who wrote these series of novels, like 22 of them, I think, before he passed away a few years ago, was really, if I remember correctly, was really about like, and actually one thing that like really I was really focused on when I was reading was how the books made me really hungry. I've never seen someone describe food in a way that like I'm drooling on the book. And so I've always wanted to, just like I did with Chrono Trigger, created sort of a D&D campaign out of that. Redwall was definitely on my list of to-dos. And so that's sort of where we're going to kickstart this extravaganza. But all I have is a town and a forest with beautiful greenery around it, I suppose. Now, give me one sec. Oops, that is not what I wanted to do. Make sure that... There we go. Okay. So, now humans, first of all. Let me make sure my music's being really weird. I forgot that it's on. Let me stop this for a sec, because I want it to just play from the beginning. I put things in order for Rizzle. I already listened to some Chrono Trigger stuff, so let's start with Cold Journey. Anyway, where were we? So, so I'd also mentioned during the adventure that a particular child, or at least let me separate this out so you guys can see it if you're reading along at home. So the Forbidden Forest is only forbidden until the rite of passage at age 12, with a group surviving a night out in the wild as you progress into adulthood. So I thought that was an interesting hook around the ability to become an adult. And so in this particular town, you actually become an adult really, really young. And so one of the things that I'm looking forward to thinking about is how does that change, or like based off of, because one of the things that's I think really important when you're building a world is how is it different from this one in Earth and things like that. And so that's a pretty big difference for you to be an adult at 13. And there's kind of create some other questions at least, but that I should probably answer right now. But I think the Lost Woods mantra worked really, really well. So I'd love to play with that a little bit more and sort of build on top of it. And I actually there's a small part in Duval and Dragons that has a sort of a Lost Worlds mindset. Crucian Gal, thanks for the follow. How are you doing tonight? Welcome into the amphitheater. Didn't catch you a couple minutes ago. Good to have you. So, let's see. Where were we? So, not really worried about the Skywalker stuff. That's really more of a one-shot situation. But we're definitely worried about the treehouse. And then this was just some of the monsters that they sort of encountered a little bit. But and I sort of back-ended the adventure because I knew that I wanted, I knew I wanted a dragon. It's a Dungeons and Dragons, right? I had a dungeon and I had a dragon. But, and then this was actually the sort of the post-game monologue I read that made myself and Jordan cry. So it was great. That's a clip here on this particular channel if you want to watch it. But, and one thing that I've been thinking about too is tying in, I think it would be really cool to tie in the Feywild into this. Ooh, thank you, El Dorono, for the resubscription. Much appreciated. So I've been thinking about perhaps kind of using that to sort of up-level things just a little bit. Because I think that might be just an interesting sort of hook into it. So I want to sort of take some of the pieces from Redwall and a little bit of the D&D lore and sort of create sort of something out of it. So that's kind of where we're at, I feel like. So what do I want to start with? So let's build some more of this town. So I kind of feel like I want to rename Skal Kalar. It made sense because of I have a sort of a through point with all of my player characters in the fact that they all know Draconic for realsies. I'll turn this down just a tad because I think that's a little on the wild side. Anyway, but what's cool is this kind of ties back to, oh, there we go. I forgot. I pulled this back up already. So someone did a great job of taking sort of the country that surrounds Redwall. Redwall Abbey is the middle of it. And sort of setting that as the middle ground. And so I'm sort of going to do that with Skal Kalar, and then sort of build around it. So I kind of love, Salamandastron is this beautiful, awesome, badass mountain that sort of has like a badger as its king, and then sort of his or her or their military might is a bunch of badass hares, which is pretty cool. But so one thing that I'm thinking about is perhaps we do, so tell me what to rename Skal Kalar. Let's do some Googling around for Treehouse Towns and see what we can find out. Because I know that there's one map to Treehouse. Images. See, there's a lot of shit in here, as you can see. But Treehouse names. Is there a generator? Did I just a Treehouse name generator? A business name. That's not really what I'm thinking about, but who knows? More of a city. Well, let's back up. So it's more about why it's named a particular way, right? So maybe let's start with, because let's think about the D&D Pantheon then a little bit. So what are some of the pantheons? Oh, I need to make this a bit bigger. There we go. Oh, that's probably too big. And if you don't know what I'm looking at, this is the Dungeon Master's Guide, which I've really never used. So I thought that might be a good thing to look at here. Pantheon of the Dawn War deities. Now, considering it's very foresty and stuff, someone like Melora would be a good place to start. Tie in Melora. Ayun would probably be smart too, I think. So that's something we could think about. But of course, this is just an example. We can create our own. The DMG is more useful than I gave it credit for. Yeah. I think once I realized that it wasn't a requirement after picking it up, then I really just was like focused on just creating shit, and like I wasn't really worried about it anymore. But then but you're right, like there's a lot of like really good shit that's like, damn dude, like I created all this stuff like hard mode on my own that I could have like looked up stuff, right? So, and I think like I would definitely love to tie in the Raven Queen and the Shadowfell, because the Shadowfell sort of this is something I didn't really realize. I didn't really realize that the Feywild and the Shadowfell are kind of like the yin and yang of situations. So I think that's right. So that might be an interesting story to tell as well. But I feel like that's later on. Like, let's figure out, because one of the things that I don't know if I'd say it's a mistake, but I think it's something that I learned was I was really focused on a lot of the larger pieces in the world, and with Duval and Dragons, for example, and had to wait for the timer to run down. Yep, no worries. You know how it is out here. It's pretty whack. So appreciate you coming in and hanging out. And so where was I? ADHD. So that's something I just didn't know. So that was a bit of a shock. But if I'm gonna have Melora and the Feywild, I definitely want to have the opposite of that as well. But that's something for me to tie in a lot later. But even though I need to rename Skullcalar, let's focus on. So I said up here. Let's walk through what I said earlier. The beautiful greenery surrounding these several large oak trees with several houses hundreds of feet in the air, and then they're connected together. Crosswinds. So I have a town hall. See, that's a good place to start. So let's think about what's in this town, right? So we know there's a town hall. There's got to be some commerce district situation. So there's definitely something. But okay, so town hall, and let's see, who's the mayor? Now I know in the one shot I had this Minotaur dude. That's not his name, but we'll start with that. So this Minotaur dude, Orino, big tall guy, and I definitely would love that again, and we'll see what he kind of comes out with. But, and I think I mentioned this earlier, but actually I'm gonna do this. Let's start with what I have here, because the rest of the stuff is specific to the actual adventure. So I kind of want, actually, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to yeah. Let's do this. Copy this, or actually I'll cut this, and then we can two. I'll bold this as well, just so I know. Epilogue, because I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. So, all right. So you guys go. Whoops. All right. So. All right. Where are my? There we go. I know how to spell tonight. Okay, that's better. And then we will go back to you and paste. Okay, great. So that was so community of 80 houses. Don't really need to worry about the specifics there. But we know that child went missing, so we'll skip ahead here. And Olibar really liked Fa, so we'll probably add a Fa shop here, just in tribute. But anyway, let's see. And I still love the sort of the Lost Woods mantra. And just to give you guys some context here, so this was sort of the map that I used while I was sort of describing things, and that I found that was like super nice. But then when we came to some encounters, I used this amazing, actually two of these amazing Chepeku maps. So, which, actually I think this might have been a 2-minute tabletop one, but make sure I correct the right one. But this one for sure is a Chepeka one. This was the finale, the big dragon-y fight. There we go, Patreon, Chepeku there. But just to give you guys some ideas of where my head's at here. So, where were we? So I've been all over the map here. Who's the mayor? Minotaur dude. To be named later. All right. So commerce district situation, because they have to have some sort of way to trade back and forth. But who are we trading with, right? That's the. But who are we trading with? Other cities. So this kind of ties into sort of the tie-in Salamanastron. Well, we're gonna tie in mountainous area, and then that way there's that sort of a natural nature-ish separation where like the things that they can get up in the mountains are probably different than that we can get in the forest. Seems pretty reasonable. But here's another question. Why are we in the trees? It's a good question. Now, just speaking for myself, I just thought a treehouse was cool. Because in my many games that I've played, and I don't think I've ever run into one. So, why not me? So, safety. But from what? I'm answering questions and then giving us more to think about. So, let's see. So, town hall, commerce district situation. So, where do they go in the city? 80 houses, so, 80 times, let's say a family of 4, right? 80 times 4 is 320. So this is a pretty small town, right? So I gather, and something that I thought about when I created this initially was that this was not a easy place to find. I wanted, and so safety and secrecy. But from what? Maybe something bad happened. That happened. Now, the forest being forbidden is another thing we could talk about. We could tie in as well to this as well. But what happened? See, now I'm in an interesting spot because I could go with that, a dragon sort of attacked everybody on the. Well, it doesn't make any sense because dragons are in the sky, right? Magical barrier or password after some climactic event. And feel free to jump in and idea toss with me. And this is kind of the idea of why I did this not by myself. But anyway, let's see. What other religious systems do we talk about? Thai pantheons. Single religion. That sounds boring. We already have that bullshit in the US, so big fat pass. But I kind of like the idea of maybe starting smaller, because look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20. So 20 gods. That's a lot of gods, yo. So, so I kind of like the idea of really simplifying things and only focused on maybe 3 or 4, and then. Let's see, where did I put her? Timelora, Ayun, and the Raven Queen. Shadowfell. So maybe it's like it starts out at Melora, and And actually, what? Melora is neutral. Okay. So I need someone a little bit on the other side from a Bahamut? So I'm thinking of like a spectrum, like maybe like a maximum of like 5 of these, right? And so, and then kind of ending with either Thara's Dune or, I mean, if I go Bahamut, I'm definitely gonna have to go with Tiamat, maybe on the other side of it. And there's this like natural sort of like spectrum, right, of these, of like starting with Bahamut, Melora, Ioun, and then the Raven Queen. Melora. Actually, don't know if Melora has anything to do with the Feywild. Well, you know what they say. Let's go find out. Excuse me. Upholds the balance. Obviously, the Wall Mother. Let's go look around. Actually, don't even know what wiki this is. But that's what's fun. Is even if I can't find an answer, it's my thank you. It's my my damn world. I can just make it up, right? Oh, this is somebody's World Anvil situation, so that's pretty cool. Anywho, but yeah, I kind of like having that Bahamut and Tiamat sort of like natural sort of clashing situations, and then like I even though, let's see, where are you? Ioun's pretty neutral, and maybe that's the idea, right? Like Melora and Ioun and the Raven Queen are all pretty neutral. Ooh, very cool. Can't wait to see it. I have a World Anvil account. Like I even have it like ready to go. Oh, you guys cannot see that. I even have it ready to go here. Because it does ask like really good questions. But I don't know. Like I definitely am. I'm an oldie but goodie, I guess. Around just looking at a blank sheet of Google Doc paper and just going for it, you know. But you know, that's all right. There's no wrong way. There's only a fun way. So yeah. So we tie in Bahamut, Melora, and Feywild, Ioun. I love Ioun's a really cool, badass god of knowledge, and then Tiamat because, of course. So, which now, what's interesting is, I mentioned earlier changing the name. Now that I have both Bahamut and Tiamat in it, I think I'm gonna keep it. All right. Why are we in the trees? Safety secrecy. Okay. So, what else? So there's a bunch of different families that probably go out and hunt, I imagine. Technology-wise, this is, you know, not super high fantasy, but pretty, but like I kind of liking the idea of there being this sort of closed off civilization of these 300 to 400 people, and then suddenly, like magic happens, as it tends to. Hunter, so it's a town of hunters, gatherers, and I've been in. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, like there are, I think in this particular world, I'm not going to have any of your traditional races. No humans or dwarves or gnomes or anything like that. So we're gonna have some rabbit folk and some Luxodons and I forgot what the lion folks are called. But Jordan actually played this Fey Barbarian, so I think there's definitely some from a Feywild perspective, maybe some Elvish folk, but sort of want to, go, I'm a very go against the grain type of person. A lot of cases, growing up especially. Lean in. Yes, you are correct. That is exactly what it is. And growing up especially, I was definitely the kid that was like, hey Jacob, this is some really great advice. And I was like, oh, really cool. Well, I'm gonna do the exact opposite and take a longer time to get there, but I learned. But that's just me. So let's see. So towns of hunters and gatherers, and we could tie this into the creation myth as well, of like maybe sounds like the forest. And this is kind of an important thing to note. The forest wasn't always forbidden. Maybe that's where the danger came from. Because if we go back to what I said earlier here, this is a ritual that's been going on every month for generations. And so what happened, right? In this, for this particular one shot, three shot, I guess, when I wrote it, the sort of linchpin was, this was a thing that just went over and over and over, without really any issues. If anything, the idea was to scare the pants off of the kids by, having them and then making them rely on each other to survive the night. There wasn't anything particularly bad, but especially as a 12-year-old, your imaginations tend to run a bit wild, right? So you kind of buy into that perspective. So it's like this secret that all the adults have. But I actually think I'm gonna make this a little higher, maybe 17, because I think putting together the sort of outside stimuli of saying that adulthood is 13 is could be a bit problematic later on down the line. So we'll just keep it simple. So, all right. I already put no humans. I put it down here too. Force wasn't always. That's where the danger came from. So, using a note for all my campaigns on one shots. Word. When I started doing this, I was using a MacBook Pro, so I didn't have any OneNote. So it was just Google City. Like my oh my God, go away. When I started Duval and Dragons, I started with Google Doc, and now it's like almost 30 pages. There's no rhyme or reason or organization to it. I'm doing a lot of searching for. One day I will go and probably compartmentalize and throw it all in the world of Anvil. But it is not this day. Not this day I will be doing it. No. No. Anyway. I mean, so one thing I threw in the one shot is this NPC Musanus, Guardian of the Forest, this Treant, and where they encounter him, and I sort of took the Shambling Mound and added some corruption kind of properties to it, and it sort of took him over, kind of like a reverse Deku Tree situation, if you're like a Ocarina of Time fan, which you totally should be. And so that was really successful. They definitely bought into that. So I definitely want to tie him back into it. And he's been around the block, so he'll be there. And by there, I don't even have any players yet. So this will eventually be a cast and call of some sort. To be continued. Probably mostly be IPOC, if I'm being honest. Anywho. So yeah, because I even wrote, the dragon found this forest, and that sort of changed everything. But and Osa got away at the end of that one shot. But I don't want to necessarily start from where the one shot ended. So let's see. Anywho, kind of all over the map. This is how I work, though, everybody. I just kind of like, ooh, piece of candy. So, I think so. Before the dragon, let's think about some what corrupts forests. What makes forests bad? I bet there's a lot. I bet there's some stuff in here. Let's see what Reddit has to say, eh? Nah, it's a little bit too small. Because I think... All right, actually. First of all, we haven't finished the town, so let's start there, kiddo. He says, talking to himself. Okay, town hall. Who's mayor? Minotaur dude. All right. So there is I just remembered because I improv'd it because when I you know classic sort of you think your players are going to zig and then of course they zag. They were going to essentially they went to the town hall. We're going to do the mission and all right, you guys all your supplies. Go forth and do the thing. And they were like, we're going to go ask more questions. And I was just like, oh, fuck. Okay. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to improv this town hall. What's up, Hartmere? Good to see you. So I'm going to improv this, like, town square, which I essentially ripped directly from a city in Duval and Dragons, but it's fine. And so I kind of want, instead of to have like this fountain, what else could we have in this town square? Now keep in mind, this town square is in the air. So we have 80 different, we already know we have 80 different buildings. We have 80 different buildings that are, well, 80 different houses, I should say, that are just kind of like suspended up and around. And how you get around is up and down these nets. So think like Chutes and Ladders, but you're either sliding down these, which I had to improv because I didn't really think about a way down at the time. It's also kind of part of why I wanted to sort of dive even deeper into this. Anywho, let's see. So town square. I don't want to do a fountain. But I think that the town square is probably why wouldn't that be the centralized sort of point? So why wouldn't that be where the town hall and actually, I know an idea that we can do. Let's go with a very popular town map. And let's take a look at it. What's there? Okay, and let me zoom in a whole fuck a lot. There we go. So, if you ever run Lost Mines, you are very familiar with Fendelin, or the Essentials kit. So, I actually think it's funny because, like, the inn, or, towns having inns, I don't know if this makes sense to have one. Because this is a town that no one you sort of grandfather or grown up into, and so I think having a smithy makes sense, and some Now it got me thinking, because. Oh, you know what? Seeing a sleeping giant. We need a watering hole. You know, that after work special. Can't believe I didn't think about that. I actually wonder, especially since like this is a town where there's only a couple hundred people. They probably all, they've all known each other for a very fucking long time, right? So, oh man, let's think of a good foresty D&D watering hole tavern name. Because like with Duval Dragons, like that shit's easy because I typically pick my favorite watering holes here in Jacksonville and sort of manipulate and change things around. Berry wine, named types of wine if this is a forest. Ooh, berry wine. That does sound awesome. I love it. I love where your head's at. A winery would be cool. It'd be a cool thing to have. I'm actually going to move this down to a new page here. There we go. Who's the mayor? Yeah, that's better. Who are we trading with? Town Square Watering Hole Winery. I'm gonna, because this is a locations situation. So let's make sure to bold that so we know. The tree stump. Oh, I like that. That's cool. Simple and effective. The tree stump it is. So, Tree Stump Tavern. Now, known for, let's tie this back into the, because I have to imagine there's the 30 sapling. Oh, easy. I have to imagine that there's a back and forth sort of economic situation that happens. What's interesting is, you know, I could go with the traditional sort of gold, silver, copper situation, but like, how would they know? Well, I suppose someone had to have started that, so to speak, right? Where to go from there? Let's see. Okay. Watering Hole, Tree Stump Tavern. I really dig that. You know, for homemade beer and mead. I actually think it makes sense to, let's see, type in distillery too. If they have the technology. We will determine that at a later time. So let's see. Town Square. Okay, so, because boy, do I love me some mead cider. Let's see. This is directly a direct Redwall reference. I'll actually show y'all Redwall drink recipes. Yeah. So, strawberry cordial, salsa water, strawberry sugar, confectioner sugar, whipped cream, and heavy cream. It might be nice with a little bit of vodka in it. Just saying. Just saying. What's funny is, like, October Ale, growing up, I was definitely confident that was a beer. 8th grade me was not to be trifled with. Anywho. So, honey mead. Oh yeah, dude, for sure, for realsies. But what's funny is, we've gone on a tangent, which I'm not upset about. Okay, watering hole. Or I should say, holes. Be some tavern. What was the other one you mentioned? A 30 sapling. So I'm not married to it, but I kind of like it. Interesting. But if we go back to Fenlin, and what is at Fenlin is a smithy, which is fine. Do how to make them weaponries. Blacksmith. Shop. For realsies. And I don't... Oh, you know what? Let's think about an apothecary as well. I think there's definitely room for all that. No doubt about that. Ooh, I'm going to skip ahead here. This is a very emotional song for me. Not in a bad way, but in a way that is typically the end of a stream where I'm like, yay, and then fuck off, everybody. No, I'm totally kidding. Let's see. So, let's say so. Apothecary. Like that's totally fine, but actually, let me go back. Treehouse Town. Population 350. And this is definitely in caps up here. All right. Town Hall. District. Not super duper worried about the NPCs just yet. We gotta have places for them to go to. So I kind of liken it to the idea of like everyone has a role in the society. So whether that's, well, let's see, then as I mentioned, 80 houses. And they could be separated by trade. And then the ones that aren't that, and then there's obviously the specializations like the apothecary and the blacksmith shop and stuff like that. Drums. You thought I listened to the song before? Okay. So let's see. By trade. So like textiles, for example. Ooh, you know what we should probably look up? Let's see. Trades. Because I don't know shit about textiles, you guys. Trades. What's the term for? Because there gotta be like a list somewhere that I can pull from. That isn't like awful. Obviously, like someone's got to make their clothes and shit. So there's textiles. Blacksmith shops got both. Well, let's say the metal weaponry. Yeah. Metal weaponry, tailors, wood working. Yep. I kind of think that the blacksmith shop will probably handle the weapon and the armor stuff, and the woodworking will kind of handle the rest. You know what's a good? I just realized this is probably a really great frame of reference. Is if we go to Troll Skull Alley in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, they have some locations that we could probably be thinking about. I wonder if this is... No, this is not. I already listened to that guy. You can keep going. Let's see. And I will say, the beginning of Watery Dragon Heist is super fun to run. I didn't even say the majority of it is really pretty fun to run. I'd just go so full to say that for sure. What's sad is I definitely have this map, and I'm still Googling it. Running Dragon Heist right now. Ooh, where are you at? Or where your players at? Or where are your players at, I should say. Actually, what am I doing? I could actually probably... There we go. That's more my style. Give me a list. Thank you, Obsidian Portal. Taylor. Ooh, fruits and veg. Fruits and veg, of course. Ooh, Ball of the Castle Lanterns. Very cool. Is that your villain of choice? So, Bruce. There's a... God, I always forget. There's a bunch of shit in here, eh? This is... Let me lost in the sauce. Good lord. All the villains are active. Yeah, that's the way to do it. I was confident that Jarlaxle was going to be my big bad, but Xanathar definitely ended up being that once they got into the oh my god, what is the Force Grey quests? Once they got into the Force Grey quests, Xanathar became their big bad for real. Especially once you get super late and start needing to get all the different things to, you know, get into the big gold door. Depends who they piss off more. Yeah. Here's the fucked up thing. They actually ended up killing Xanathar. I couldn't fucking believe it. They did lose a party member, and another two went down. And those fuckers had a scroll of revivify, so it didn't end up mattering, but they tried to steal the goldfish, and they got caught. And now Xanathar's dead, so yay. And then that campaign went to pieces after that, but I digress. So, I actually kind of love the idea of this. Okay, I love that you gave me a list. Seamstress, that's fantastic. So, tie it more to that. But I kind of like the idea of people just going to who they know and where they know. So I almost don't even want there to be a centralized trade district at all. I kind of like the idea of so-and-so lizard folk friend knows how to do this thing. So yeah, I'll have to think some more on what things look like from an economic perspective, but this is a good place to start. But I kind of like the idea. Speaking of the climactic event, this is a good place for us to tie in Melora here into the world. I don't want everyone to be a Melora worshiper or whatever. That's not super interesting, I don't think. Let's see. Maybe Melora warned of an upcoming calamity of some sort. Well, wonders never cease. What's funny funny is that there's already kind of a lot here for me to poke at. I don't even have any adventuring hooks yet. So, Melora. So I'm a big fan of like the sort of like not multiplanar, but there is this sort of, let's see. Let's actually, again, let's go back to the DMG and see what's up. Spirits in Heaven every part. Ooh. Animus, that's pretty cool. Spirits, the belief that spirits inhabit the world, that's pretty cool. I kind of like that. Let's see what we got here. I'm not worried about the size of things just yet. I think the question is, now, here's more of what I need to be thinking about. So we kind of already talked about the commerce and the defense as well. Ooh, that's a little loud. So Faerun or Greyhawks, which do you like better? See, my problem is like I kind of hopped on the Critical Role train, and so which has a collection of both. So I'm kind of like cool with everything, almost in a way. It's a good question. But from what I understand, like there's some Greyhawk gods and some Faerun gods in Exandria, and so it's like, yes, sort of, kind of. I actually don't know anything about the Pathfinder gods, even though I will be playing a Pathfinder 2e campaign sometime in the fairly near-ish future. So stay tuned. So I digress. So let's see. So we know Taylor, because like fruits and vegetables, so a bit of a grocer. I kind of liking that to be a little bit of everybody. But we'll keep that in the back pocket for now. So definitely need a name for this world here. What's fun is that in Duval and Dragons, because Chrono Trigger actually takes place on Earth. And so I took a loose Japanese translation called Yorohasu, and that was how I named the world there. So now, let's take a look at that Draconic translator that I mentioned a little earlier. Ooh, if I can spell tonight. Hey, there it is. So let's see. Let's do a few things. Ooh, y'all can't see that. Un minuto. That's better. Whoop! That is a lot of things. That just blew up. There we go. So let's see. Let me change this guy really fast. Hold on. Nope, not the right one. Let's do that one. Whoop. Doing it live here, ladies and germs. Doing things live. There we go. Whoop, that is not what I wanted to do. You go back to where you're supposed to be. All right. That did not work the way that I wanted, but that's okay. Okay, so let's see. I wonder if I can just zoom. Well, if I zoom out a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, this does not help you guys at all. But that's all right. Common to Draconic is gonna be, even though my base off of Zibodaris. Actually, I wonder if I could just pop this out. Yeah, that's way better. I figured it out, everybody. Rejoice! There was much rejoicing. Okay, so let's see. So if I'm gonna base it off of sort of the eternal Bahamut Tiamat conflict, which is pretty up my alley. I'm a big dragon guy. What word in common do I want to translate? Well, let's see. So Earth, for example. Let's hit the button. Is Edar. I want something a little more ridiculous. So I threw in Eulalia, which is the Badger, I think, cry from Redwall, but doesn't really translate, I don't think. I bet it's going to say Eulalia, because it's like, that's not a common word. Yeah, exactly. So that doesn't really work. And I could switch it up to Celestial or something else if I really, really wanted to. What do I want to change this to? Let's see. Well, I will continue to worry about that later, because there is other things we can do now. Let's see what's up. Yeah, so there we go. So let's go back to the village situation. So we talked a little bit about the commerce stuff. Yeah, organizations outside of the mayor stuff, I'm not really super duper worried about. But considering that the adventure itself would start in this small village and then eventually, well, and then already have a big sort of dungeon with the Forbidden Forest, and I can make that as big or as small as my heart sort of explains, or expresses, I should say. But as far as the defense of the area, that is a question I have not answered. So let's see. Let's go back to the... so we have government, if you will. Who's mayor? I'll say he's on his second term of 2, because that makes sense. And then we talked a little bit about the commerce here. Let's bold this up. Oh, now we're just making nice at this point. Town square, watering hole. Okay, I love that. So let's kind of, so 80 houses sort of separated by trade, like I mentioned, or at least trade or task. Let's see. That makes more sense, I think. So let us continue. So even though like the town hall is where folks kind of meet up, I don't think a town square is even necessary, really. It's just this, collection of houses and a few watering holes. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let's see. What was the climactic event that caused all this riffraff? I wonder if that's a secret. Like maybe only like the mayor knows like the history, and like that's so it's let's see, because sort of a classic sort of You know how if you've seen the movie The Village, how like they're like the big plot spoilers for a movie from fucking 17 years ago, but how like the movie itself looked to be this like itty bitty sort of time piece, and then like it actually takes place like during like our time. Even though I know people shit on that movie, I actually thought that whole thing was pretty cool myself. Anyway, Ryan Duval, what's up, buddy? How's your Friday evening going? I hope it is well. Welcome to the Thunderdome. Love you too. So let's see. So forces on. Maybe that's where the danger came. Packing for a short trip. Where are you headed? Thanks for the follow, by the way. Appreciate you. You know how it is. Oh. Ah, the Pacific Northwest. Seeing the sights. Very sweet. And I actually think this is where the dragon encounter might be interesting. So I can expand on... So Oaself is the name of the dragon. The Magnificent. Which I thought was really fun. Discovers the Forbidden Forest. And Skull Killar proper. And that's what shatters the sort of the bubble. Because essentially all these people know of is the town and the Forbidden Forest. And that's it. So that's something that we could sort of play with a little bit. That's what shatters the bubble. Or illusion. Because as far as they know, and maybe that's one thing that would be really cool about the Forbidden Forest. Actually, I'm gonna tie this up. Cut this, and this will be. Still need a campaign name too. Let's see. Which is funny because I definitely... Oh. So, let's see. So for oak trees. And... I still think that I can play with this adventure hook a lot and sort of expand upon it. Because now it's less about who Olabar was and more about... And actually, I don't even know. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Because I actually want this particular campaign not to be super duper long. Like, Duval Dragons can go forever, as far as I'm concerned. But I kind of want to do some seasonal content over here on the amphitheater. So it'll probably be like 12 to, 16 sessions or something like that. So I'd love for that to be like a, sort of like how Lost Minds is like 1 through 5. So like start there and then sort of build on top of that, I think would be really cool. At least that's the plan. So, because when you run through Lost Minds, it's not very big. There's several locations, but that you sort of discover, even though you're leaving Neverwinter when you start, but you never, at least as written, you never really go into it. Even though I will never forget my very first session of my very first D&D campaign ever. That's exactly what happened. Because I was like, I didn't like how it started out very Skyrim, like on the let's switch this up a little bit. Yeah, there we go, that's a little better. where it's, what's the term? Yeah, it's all like on a wagon, and then like you're just in the middle of the city on the middle of the road on the way to town. So I think the struggle is going to be, why are there adventurers? I think that's where like this kid going missing is going to be the start, where like you're just a bunch of people, and what separates you is the bravery to go find out where this kid went. I think the problem is like, if the kid has a family, that's some more hooky stuff. Let's keep building. So, what happens is how they find out about this climatic event is it's locked in the mayor's office. This book with the town secrets. So that might be interesting. Little action there. Anyway, if you're still here, what do you think I should add? Because I think with all this, and considering I already ran a 3-shot with what we have here, I think that there's a sort of a pretty cool way forward. I didn't spell my own villain right. Oh, so there we go. That's not magnificent wrong, really? How about that? What are you looking for exactly? What am I missing from the beginning of a world? Rumors or legends of a town-eating monster? Oh man. Funnily enough, that would be interesting. Because it'd be an interesting hook to why it's in the air. Like one of them big worms. I'm clearly not using this, so. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Maybe one of these purple worm skis. Let's see. Yo. And maybe, yeah, there's some remnants of stuff. But yeah, as far as I'm looking for, I'm kind of all over the map. Like I'm kind of touching on, you know, Pantheon stuff and city stuff, well, town stuff. I'm just thinking of what I might be missing. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm good with. I love me some more rumors. I love that. It's like Redwall meets Tremors in a strange way. But what's interesting is there danger between Skull Killar and the Forbidden Forest? I'd think not. Otherwise, they certainly wouldn't do the. Yeah, they definitely wouldn't do the traditional rite of passage into adulthood. But either way, like when I build out like sort of the campaign pitch and things, I'll tie some of that together. Also, Ryan, if you're still here, shame on you for not following before. You knew when we created this damn thing. I kid. Well. We're off to a good start, though. Haven't wanted for much. Seems like decades. I think this is a place for us to really dive in, because there is this aspect or illusion of grandeur of, like, you know, everything's fine. It's just us, couple hundred people, and I feel like there's probably cities or towns in our world that are like this, where they're kind of closed off to not even the possibility of the outside world, but like their kids don't even know that the outside world even exists. But how many pieces of media have you seen where there's that one kid that's like wants to know more, or wants to, you know, upset the apple cart, or like, why do we have to wait till we're 17 to go to the Forbidden Forest? Why is that the rite of passage? That's a good question that I don't have an answer to yet. Let's see. So you can see it's like in the mayor's office, blah, 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 blah. Why is the Why is a night in the Forbidden Forest a rite of passage? What happened? When did it start? Ooh. I love that this has just been me creating more questions for myself. But that's a good thing, I think, because it gives me more things to think about. And hopefully this was maybe even helpful for some of you. But, let's see. What else? It's a lot of naming stuff. I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at here. Let's go back to this guy here. Not really worried about towns just yet. What did the adventurers first notice? Well, they live here, so they know. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that there was a table for this in the DMG. That's funny. For the different types of, let me see. Let me turn this up just a bit. There we go. But that's fine. Actually, yeah. So, oh, that's not helpful. Y'all can't see that. There we go. Anywho, yeah, more stuff to come. Factions. Backgrounds are a great way to connect adventures to your world. That's this thing. Like for example, like I've known stuff like this forever. It's just I made it up. You know, it's been in there the whole time. But I think that for now we will call it an evening. But this was a fun little impromptu thingy for me to sort of pick my own brain and maybe some of yours. So, and maybe in the future you'll see some of your contributions in this thing with a wink and a nudge. But so before I go, a couple things to talk about. So on Sunday over on Somatic Games, I'll be playing in playing some more Dragonlance. Professor Eisenhoff, probably my greatest PC creation. She's a ridiculous, awesome rock gnome white robe wizard. So 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, you should come and check that out. But also, you should make sure to check out the following Sunday, where 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, we're gonna be back playing Duval and Dragons over there. And of course, next week, right here on Wednesday, at 8 o'clock, we're back to episode 4 of Duval's gaming journey. We'll pretty much at the point where we're about to close the book on Luke's Awakening. So that should be fun. But as always, Black Lives Matter and trans rights are human rights, just in case you forgot. So, and fuck turfs for that. And with all that being said, I will gonna head out for the night. I need to see who we should. Actually, I'm good. Let's see. I can't even find anybody right now. Let's see if we can find out who we should. Who should we go say hi to? Who should we go say hi to? Oops, that is.
Produced with slave labor.
When Yada becomes better.
There we go. I'm doing the wrong thing at the right time. Let's see. Why don't I? Ooh, I know. Since I was hanging out with these folks a little earlier, go hang out with the Rock Punch folks and see what's the haps over there. So, let's go do that. So, drop some Duvals in there if you want, and say hi to these guys. Raid, Rock Punch, ATL. Yay! We did it! All right. See you over there, everybody. Thanks again for coming in, and have a good night.